edition of the Week Roundup. I'm your host, Jake Friel. Always with me, Steve Reichel. There he is. Tom Arnone, right over there.
I don't want to get anybody infected today.
Got the gas mask. Got the mask on.
Sponsored by Under Armour.
Hey, man, you keep it up. I'm going to come up here next week on a training mask looking like Bane or something.
There you go. We got a jam-packed show for you today. We're going to give you our worst draft picks in sports history, not just football, basketball, just sports in general. Fam, if you want to, obviously give us who you think is the worst draft pick of all time. Going to be talking about the XFL collapsing. Big surprise. A little sooner than I thought, but
Right.
Oh, wait, why is that a surprise? Like, look, if you actually looked at the model this time, it was way different. It was way different. It was actually working. If it wasn't for this virus, it probably wouldn't have been floated the way it did. Maybe it would have probably took about 3, 4, 5 years.
It might have taken a little bit. Yeah. No, I agree.
But it wasn't something that was going to be sustainable anyways because we already knew that. But Americans love football, period.
Right.
Point blank, period. And that it was actually people were enjoying it way more than the mess it was the first time it was. And I actually thought that we've actually seen guys that that were succeeding were getting looks. It was doing exactly what it was meant to be for. It's just the way the world works. Poor Vince McMahon, man. He's tried now twice. To get football to work for him, and it's literally blown up in his face twice.
Every time. I mean, it might come back in the future, but again, we'll talk about that later in the show. Also, UFC 249 getting canceled. Steve isn't happy about that.
I'm not happy, but it's like
it is what it is.
What are you gonna do?
Right, and also just a little piece to wrap up the show. Dana White buying an island? Maybe, possibly. We'll see. Obviously, we're brought to you by our doc, Make 'em Yours, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton locations. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. So, leading up to our poll question, brought to you by Ambuck Services, AMBUCK Services.com. Call Michael Ambrose, tell him A2D sent you 20% off. Gutters, gutter guards, anything you need done outside of your house, they'll be more than happy to help you. AmbuckServices.com. Poll question, the worst draft pick in sports history is Danny Watkins. Agree or disagree?
Want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
I'll start this puppy off.
All right.
I disagree in sports history. You know what I mean? Now, in Philadelphia, it could be a different conversation, obviously. Here in Philly, very well could be one of the biggest misses that we've had and we've experienced, especially when we talk about Andy and offensive lineman, which he's usually nailed for most of his career. You know what I mean? So, to me, there's a ton of names that can be on this list. I mean, there really is. I mean, we were talking about before we came on all the different ones, and there's tons. I look at, we're going to name them all, but to me, it's got to be Jamarcus Russell. It just has to be.
Yeah.
It's like a combo of Jamarcus Russell and Ryan Leaf. The problem is Jamarcus Russell had so much talent. Like when you watched him at LSU, you're like, this guy's a can't miss guy, right? Like can't miss, big arm, big body, strong, can break tackles inside the pocket, right? Can air it out. You thought he could make every throw. And what came to be is that a guy who just didn't work hard at the next level. You know what I mean? But in terms of what he was supposed to be, Jamarcus Russell was a can't miss guy to me. There's a ton of names you can name, tons. But to me, it's always been like Jamarcus Russell, Ryan Leaf combo. Because both guys were guys that you sort of thought were can't miss guys. You know what I mean? So that's my main one outside of Philly would be Jamarcus Russell.
I think for me, I'll disagree with the poll, obviously, just since, like Tom touched on earlier, we're talking about just sports in general. I think for me, at least for my age group anyway, Jamarcus Russell you can definitely put up there, but I think another one just to kind of get away from Tommy's pick a little bit, for me, it's Ryan Leaf. Ryan Leaf was a terrible, terrible pick. Jump around from team to team. I don't know what it was. He had the talent, but for whatever reason, it just did not work out for him. I can't pinpoint what it was. He had that terrible meltdown in the locker room with that one reporter. I forget who it was. And then it just led to like a string of a bunch of different issues off the field. So I think for me, it's Brian Leaf.
Well, it's a great one. You wonder, the question you had is, where you didn't know really what happened. Well, you said it yourself. It was in the head, right? It was up here. And when we talk about pro sports and we talk about sports in general, I talk to my kids when we talk about hitting and baseball. It's here. It's here. So how can you get through up here? And a guy like Ryan Leaf, obviously, had some anger issues, right? And couldn't handle the early failure, right? That's the big thing. It's all about your response in sports. Well, you saw his response, right? Couldn't handle the questions, couldn't handle the heat. Now, remember, he's playing in a small market at the time. You know what I mean? It's not like he's in a big market. Things could have been a lot worse for him. He was playing in a small market. But up here, mentally, wasn't strong enough, regardless of his physical tools. And that's the difference of Ryan Leaf on why, to me, Ryan Leaf failed miserably.
Who do you got, Steve?
We were already talking a few things, about, both Eagles and overall, I mentioned some names off the air that Jake's like, but I'm gonna go with Kwame Brown from basketball, Washington Wizards, #1 overall, 2001, man. Yeah, they could have had Paul Gasol, and that team could have been very different, but that was what was it? That's the Michael Jordan disaster, wasn't it?
Well, that's what's funny about it, Steve, because if you're going to be a #1 pick at the draft in the NBA, and you want to be surrounded by somebody, man, I don't care how old Michael is. You know what I mean? I don't care if Michael's 60. Like, that's a guy I want to be around. That's a work ethic I want to see how he went about his day. When you fail and you're around Jordan, that's like an epic failure. Like that's why Kwame Brown is such a great name, because of the situation he was semi-put in with being around Michael Jordan. Like, you didn't pick up nothing. Now, I'm not saying Mike was a guy that was giving the young players by any stretch, and we're going to find out tomorrow night a little bit more when our Super Bowl documentary comes out on Jordan on ESPN, which is going to be a ton of fun to watch. But that's why it's a great name, Steve, because this is a guy that was in a good situation, being around the GOAT, right, and maybe learn from him. He didn't want to learn nothing. And when big men fail, it's even worse. Like, when you're 6'11", 7 foot, and you're in your top 5 pick and you fail, quit everything. Quit everything. Because you're going to fail in everything in your life. I don't even know what Kwame's doing right now, but I guarantee he's failing. Because when you're that big and you're that gifted and you still can't get it done, shit, it's one thing for a 6'2" guard to fail, right? Physicality, different things, right? When you're 7 foot and you fail, shit, all you got to do is this and dunk. How are you failing? So that one's a great one. And I know a lot of people, Greg Oden, Ted FX, good one. More injury-wise.
That was injury, but like, even if you go back in the one that Jake didn't know, the Michael Owen Candy, like, they could have had freaking Vince Carter, Jason Williams, Dirk Nowitzki, Paul Pierce at any point in time in that draft. And there's another big bust. Like we love to talk about football and quarterbacks, but basketball, there's some bad ones. I mean, we were just talking about Jordan, St. Bowie. St. Bowie is kind of related to that whole thing. We were just talking about Mike.
The only thing I disagree with, Coach YOX on Periscope, Brown played 10 years, not a fail to him. Fair. I mean, money-wise, not a fail, right? I mean, money, he made plenty of money. No question in that.
We're talking about production. That's what entails a bad pick or a bust, correct?
And it was a bust.
He wasn't a winner, and he did not win a championship. So,
family.
I mean, if he was a winner, I mean, if you do what you got to do in that situation, it's bad. I mean, there's some ones that we didn't mention. We were talking about linemen. Everyone talked about Tony Manders. The early '90s. Steve Edmond was another one.
Yeah.
He was the number overall, and I think it was 91 or 2. I forget which year it was exactly, but there's a bad one for the Colts for the Colts for that.
Mike Chirac also says, as far as Eagles go, he's saying first would be for him is Freddie Mitchell.
He's bottom end on that list. I mean, I know he's first for a lot of guys. He's up there because that's where, when the big boom of Philadelphia Eagles football has really came back to life in the city. Is when Ray left and Andy took over, and Donovan had started that whole kind of rock and roll type atmosphere in this city back with the Eagles. and everyone wants to talk about Freddie Mitchell. You know, we talked about plenty other ones on here. Dexter McDougal.
Yeah.
I'll put him way above Freddie Mitchell. That's a way bigger bust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with that one. TedFX on Periscope also says Odell Green Beckham had all the talent, but just didn't care. I think he's talking about Dorial Green Beckham.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Was he? But is he our pick? No.
he's just saying draft picks in general. Like I get it. Like he had all the talent, but just up here he just didn't have it.
Yeah, I want to stay with the wide receivers. Go right to.
Was he a high pick?
I think it was a first rounder or a second rounder, but
second rounder,
first round guy.
If he's a second rounder, I say second round. Don't denote bust to me. It doesn't.
You want to stay with wide receivers? Go Justin Blackman, right? You want to talk about a big time bust wide receiver? Justin Blackman, perfect example, right? Guy, physical wise, you looked at him and it was like Des Bryant combo, right? It was like I mean, big, physical, could stretch the field, blah 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 blah, right? And that's a fail. I mean that's a big time miss.
Yeah,
you know, big time miss.
And the other one we were talking about too for the Detroit Lions for wide receivers was Charles Rogers, number 2 overall in 2003.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Who did they miss in that draft? Andre Johnson, Terrell Suggs, Troy Polamalu. No one big.
Yeah. Coach YOX also says on Periscope, Bernard Williams 1 year, then done in the league. Yeah, that's definitely up there.
Yeah, Bernard Williams. Yeah, that's a big. Was that Rich Coates tight out, right?
Yeah. AP Moore also says Marcus Smith. That was more of a panic pick than anything, but no, but he was selected in the first round. Yeah, absolutely, he was a bust.
Yeah, and I also mentioned Leonard Renfro. That's a bad one by Buddy didn't do bad defensive draft picks until Leonard Renfro.
Yeah, that whole mess. Trying to think of other ones. Seattle Seahawks. Rick Meyer. That's another one. Number 2 in '93. Number 2 pick in '93. Excuse me. That's another bad one.
Really bad one. Yep.
Trying to think. Do we want to just stick in Philadelphia for a minute and then we can branch out, or do you want to just kind of just bounce around?
I mean, we can go into Philadelphia. I'll go right after Clarence Weatherspoon.
Okay.
I mean, if anyone was a Sixer fan right after the Charles Barkley area, we thought they gave us that Clarence Weatherspoon's going to be the answer.
Right.
Yeah, that worked out real well, didn't it?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, exactly. Very well. Jesus.
Oh man, that team was bad. Yeah, Jeff Hornacek was supposed to save us. Him and Hershey Hawkins.
Ricky Glenn also says, "What's crazy is Blackman is still on the Jags roster. He's literally waiting for a reinstatement for the past few years." Yeah, so that whole mess.
Yeah, that's funny that he's still getting. He's still waiting for the reinstatement. That's fun.
Yeah, we said Greg Oden already. That's one. Tim Couch for the Browns. That's just a long laundry list of busts for the Browns.
Kajana Carter.
Yeah,
Carter's a great that one. He was so good at Penn State, man. He was, Heisman level guy and all that, and
drafted number 1 overall, and just
never showed up.
It's crazy. It's just and for running backs, typically the thing is for running backs, it's a smoother transition.
No, it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be. Yeah,
it's supposed to be a smoother transition.
Mm-hmm.
But for him, it just never worked out, and the injuries tie into it a little bit too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Trying to think. Would you consider Markel Fultz a bust? At least here, anyway. He's definitely a bust in Philadelphia.
Close.
He's almost there. If he doesn't, I think flourish this next season. Yeah, he's a bust for sure.
I completely agree. It depends on how the rest of the career goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like you have to say, like you have a 5-6 year window to sit there and say if he was worth that pick, if trading for that pick, whatever. And as I mentioned, Bo Jackson has to be mentioned just because of the injury factor. We're talking about injuries. A lot of teams made a lot of moves to attempt to get him. And wound up in Oakland and all that.
Mm-hmm.
A hip injury against the Cincinnati Bengals undoes it all.
Yep.
Ricky throwing another one out we talked about, and that's Trent Richardson, a great name.
Yeah, that's a great name.
Big time boss. Another one we were talking about too, Jake, on running backs coming in and sort of should be ahead of the curve a little bit, easier for them to transition in, and the guy just couldn't do it.
For whatever reason, yeah, just didn't work. Jonathan Sullivan for the New Orleans Saints, 2003, number 6 overall. Yeah, there's a bunch. Joey Harrington for the Detroit Lions. It's just a long. It's crazy how much people think they know about prospects, and then they come into the league and it just doesn't work out for whatever reason.
I got one. I got one for you that had a counterpart with him. Go to the USC Trojans. Both Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush were busts.
Matt definitely. Reggie semi.
Yeah, Reggie semi. Reggie had like a
Reggie
career.
Reggie Bush was supposed to be the next level of elite running backs, and he never became that. He was a situational back. What was he? He was number 2, wasn't he? Was he drafted number 2 overall? Reggie?
He was a top 5 pick from what I remember. I don't remember.
Matt Leinart was Matt. In that case, Matt Leinart's less of a bust because he was what? I think he was 10, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, he was 10.
Charles Rogers, number 2 in 2003.
Well, and here's one for the Jets fans: Vernon Golston in 08.
Yeah.
Kelly Smith mentioned.
Here's another one. We got one from Seattle. Aaron Curry in 09.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Carey?
Aaron.
Oh, Aaron Carey.
Okay.
And you know who's real close to being a bust right now down there in Cleveland is Johnny Football.
Who?
Johnny Manziel.
Oh no, he's out of the league. He's been out of the league. You can definitely say that was a bust. Now it depends on.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna see him in the XFL, and then he never did it.
Well, because Vince had the thing where it was you can't have a criminal record. Yeah, Bo Jackson with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, number 1 overall.
Exactly, and then he became a Raider. And
then it just worked out. I mean, minus that hip injury, but let's see. Greg Milakovic says, great name for the poll. I do disagree, though. So many other names is better one. One for the Eagles' biggest bust for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And I already said Alexander Degg of the what was it? Ottawa, right? That was in '93. He never developed.
Mm-hmm. Brady Quinn, that's a good one.
Eddie Carey was a bust too. I mean, we were talking about Eddie Carey a few minutes ago, but Eddie Carey, big time bust. Big time bust for the Chicago Bulls.
Stephon Marbury was number 4 overall, wasn't he?
Something like that. JD Drew, that's a good one.
There.
We can go back here in Philadelphia. Mike Mamula.
Yeah, Mike Mamula is definitely a good one.
He had moments. Like he had a big sack in the Lions playoff game here in Philadelphia to kind of turn that game around. You know, he had that big hit, and I think he knocked Perryman out of the game, and after that, Eagles just started rolling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. AP Moore said Vince Young. We said that one already.
Yeah, Vince Young, another good one.
Vince Young's a good one.
Potential. Who's your biggest Eagles one for the family? Is it Danny Watkins? I mean, would you agree with that?
For me, I definitely. Yeah, you can put Marcus Smith up there, but for me, I'd say Danny Watkins, just because you're drafting a 27-year-old, just and it never worked out from day one. It just never worked out.
Desmond Howard's
a good one.
No, became a return specialist for Green Bay. You know, had a big return in part to that first Brett Favre Super Bowl win.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably his biggest moment.
Yeah. What about you, Tommy?
And then the next season they replaced him without Horizon.
Yeah.
Who's my for Eagles wise?
Yeah, Eagles wise.
Well, I think to me, it's Jerome McDougal.
That's a good one.
High pick, shooting himself.
Mm-hmm.
Never lived up to it. I think everybody thought, especially where you drafted him from, he was going to be an impact guy and just wasn't. To me, it's him. And then I go Danny Watkins and I go Freddie Mitchell. I mean, Freddie Mitchell can pass here. That's a high first round pick on a needed wide receiver that just didn't live up to the billing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jamarcus Russell, we already said.
And, Danny Watkins, Marcus Smith. Marcus Smith, another great one.
Yep. Because if you remember, you look back at that draft, we wanted Clinton Dix, and then, if I remember correctly, I think Green Bay traded up to draft him, and then Howie, for whatever reason, he took Marcus Smith. Vernon Golston, number 6 overall in 2008. That's a good one.
Yeah, Vernon Golston, another one.
Quentin Carver, 01.
Here's a good one. Here's a good one in the NBA. I know we're jumping back and forth, but Anthony Bennett.
Anthony Bennett's a good one.
And
Victor Bearmiri
went after Freddie Mitchell that draft too. You know what I mean? Talk about like the Donnell Pumphrey draft. Well, everybody that went after Freddie.
Yeah.
Much a hit.
Mm-hmm. Trying to think. Would you consider Ricky Williams a bust just for what the Saints gave up to get him?
I mean, maybe on what they passed on.
Right.
And what they gave up, maybe. But, all the extra stuff, I think,
mm-hmm.
sort of affected him. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I wouldn't necessarily call him a bust. I mean, I know they gave a lot up for him, but it's not like he couldn't play in the league. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's a big thing for him. That's how I look at him.
Yeah, that's a good one. Joe Barry.
The Reggie Brown experience. The Reggie Brown experience was bad too.
Yeah. There was another one that I saw. Lawrence Phillips for the Saints. 2006 or no, 96. I'm sorry. And Joe Barry Carroll for Golden State, number 1 overall in 1980. If you really want to, if you want to go back a little bit.
Sean Andrews,
that's a good one.
Mental health aside, that just.
Well, yeah. Sometimes
I already said Leonard Renfro, John Harris.
Yeah, you can't control that though when it comes to mental health. Sometimes it just happens. Certain guys.
Antonio Davis, rather.
Antonio Davis, yep, that's a good one.
And the one I told you off the air from back in the 60s, we have to mention it. 1969 and number 3 overall pick, Leonard Keys.
Yep.
Leroy Keys up. How do you only average 3 yards a carry?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
You fall forward and get 2 yards. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. David Clyde for the Texas Rangers, if you want to go baseball, back in 73. It's a whole. I didn't realize how big these lists are of just complete and utter bust. It's crazy.
There's tons.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Todd Womack says Hector Macho. That's a good one.
Macho Harris.
Yep.
Oh, the Orlando Bloom thing. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah. Let's come back a little bit. Nate Allen, that's one.
Yeah, there's one.
Yeah, semi.
I mean, he got picks, but other than that, wasn't a huge fan of the guy.
No, definitely wasn't a big fan of him.
No.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, no. Trying to think, who else was a big, huge bust?
And Ted FX says, Sean Andrews was, he was a Pro Bowler too. So, I mean,
yeah,
it's hard to call him a bust.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely could play.
Right.
Can't factor in like laziness. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Ricky said Brady Quinn. We did that one.
Yeah, Brady Quinn's a good one. Sharon Wright. Wow. Sharon Wright.
That's a really good one.
That's a name to remember.
Yeah, right? Sharon White. There's so many names.
Well, we got one from the Yankees. I got one for you. Brain Taylor, first overall in '91.
That was a good one. Sean Bradley.
Sean, oh my
he
God.
played. You know how many games?
Forget about Sean Bradley.
He was the number one and then played 0 games for the Yankees. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Matt Anderson for the Detroit Tigers back in '97.
Draft demos here. Bryce Blackwell chiming in. All right, boys. Sorry, my attention's like all over the place. I'm playing.
You're good.
I'm playing like poker. I'm getting ready for the next hitting lesson going on here in a little bit. So I'm all over the place.
Yeah, you're all good.
Ted FX, you guys are live on Twitch, correct? Yes, sir.
Yes.
Live on Twitch, free to listen. So if you have the Twitch app, please subscribe, like, follow, help us out. And there's so many. I mean, that's the thing. That's why it's a great topic.
Mm-hmm.
A million busts. There's so many different busts you can talk about, and all sports too. Not just
football.
Not just football. Not baseball. There's a shit ton of them too.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, I'm trying to find some.
Yeah, Bryce Jamarcus Russell. We said already I think that was Tommy's worst bust ever. Just because, like we touched on earlier, just all the talent that he had.
And here's a bad one for the T-Wolves. They drafted Johnny Flynn. They got him 6th in 09 ahead of Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Oh, Stuart Bradley.
That's a great one.
Talking about Nebraska guy. Stuart Bradley's a Nebraska guy.
Don't get me started, man. I met him after he was picked, right? And then he when they opened the shop right down here, he was down there for a signing. So I was there at the draft party and met him, and then he my daughter liked him, so I wanted to get his jersey. I got it at like a flea market for like $25. So his jersey is actually signed in my closet.
That's a good one.
He was a good dude, but the concussions and the knee injury did him in, man.
Yeah.
All right, boys. I'm gonna get out of here. Let you guys talk, so I'm not freaking
just sitting here.
Sitting here.
I got you. You're all good.
Jules is coming in anyway.
All right, so we got.
Look at that, Jules.
Oh, perfect timing.
What up, brother?
Because
I'm pokering. I'm getting ready for the next thing I got to do. I'm bringing to the table outside.
You're all good.
All right, boys, go party on.
All right, Tommy.
What about this one, Jake? Bryant Reeves, 05. He was the 6th overall for the Vancouver Grizzlies.
Mm-hmm.
Remember they called him Big Country? Remember that?
All right, so we got worst draft picks, right?
Yeah, worst draft picks in sports history. It doesn't have to just be football. It can be just sports in general.
What were the ones you guys went with?
Tommy went with Jamarcus Russell. I went with Ryan Leaf. Steve, who did you go with?
Yeah, I went with a mixture of a bunch of them. We got the Charles Rock, the Charles Rock.
Okay.
From, Detroit. Yeah.
What about you, Nick?
I'm going with Darko Milicic.
And then you also had the Kwame Brown one.
Kwame Brown was pretty bad. That was a Michael Jordan pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Michael Jordan pick in fashion. No, I'm going with Darko. Only because when the Pistons had the second overall pick after coming off a championship, an NBA title, and guys that were at Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade,
yep,
drafted after him, and this guy who played how many years? In 4 years or 3 or 4 years with the Pistons, I think he averaged two and a half. If you break it down, he played 413 minutes over 2 seasons. So I did the math. I broke it down. That averages 2.5 minutes per game.
Yeah, which
I mean, come on. I mean, there's so.
And another one we did. The other one we didn't mention was Robert Griffin. It's sad, but
yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good ones you can go just because of like injury wise.
Yeah, of what he could have been,
but just as pure talent and just like Greg Oden, obviously. Was he in
Jeff George?
Jeff George.
Just
like was Greg Oden the number one pick coming out talent wise? Yeah, probably yes. And nobody can disagree with that.
Yeah.
But Darko Milicic behind LeBron James,
right,
as a second overall pick. I mean, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Yeah, exactly. You passed on Wade, Bosch, and Melo. You have 3 Hall of Famers that were drafted after him.
Mm-hmm.
And he had no injury history.
Yeah.
It's not even like, what could have been. The guy just couldn't flat out play at all.
Mm-hmm.
There's one for you that fairly recent for you guys. Deion Jordan from the Dolphins, 3rd overall and 13.
Yeah, 3rd overall to the Dolphins at Oregon.
Deion Jordan's a good one.
How many times was he suspended?
Oh.
A couple times, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But as far as the poll question, what was with Danny Watkins?
Was the worst, and
I mean that has to be the worst Eagles draft pick.
You definitely
in my opinion, that I've witnessed.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the Marcus Smith pick was also really bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nah, I still think it's a mixture between the Jerome McDougal, Mike Mamula.
Mike Mamula, yeah.
I thought, and I before you came on, I mentioned like he still had moments. Like he had a big moment in that wild card game where we beat the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
He had a big sack and he forced forced Erickson to make a bad throw and wound up knocking one of the receivers out of the game and made them real one-dimensional. We shut down Barry Sanders, but he had some moments, but also he was just for what we did to go reach and go get a guy like that. That was just big.
Mm-hmm.
And that guy already mentioned before you got on Clarence Weatherspoon too.
Yeah. Ted FX. Oh, a little double dipping. Appreciate you, Ted. Now he's on Twitch. Detroit could have traded that pick for KG too. Yeah, that's true.
That's what I'm saying, man.
It's crazy when you look at it.
I mean, to like, and what international player goes like pans out like drafted that high?
Mm-hmm.
Like I forget off the top of my head what Dirk was drafted at, but it wasn't 1 or 2.
I think it was top 5 though. I think it was top 5. I could be wrong.
No, I think it was 6 if I remember.
Was it 6?
6 or 7?
Okay,
I think so.
The guy that the Raptors drafted a couple of years, probably about a decade ago, Bargnani. He was the number 1 overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
He was a stiff.
Yeah. Let's see. Rick Alone also says Luke Jokel went number 2. Mm-hmm. That year, Deion Jordan went. Also a horrible pick. Yeah, absolutely.
Joey Galloway. He was a bust for
Joey Galloway. That's a great name.
Joey Galloway.
Oh! I got some more. Steve Spurrier. Well, he was a 3rd overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
It was going back in the 60s. I mean, he made it as a he made his mark as a coach, but as a player, he was a bust.
Mm-hmm. JD also says on Facebook, off topic, what are your thoughts on Denzel Mims? I think the Eagles should take a hard look at him over Jefferson. I know Nick.
Not in the first round.
I know Nick has some hard feelings about it.
First round. Not in the.
Not in the first round.
I don't want Mimsy in the first round. If we can get him in the second, all right, I'm good with that. I already said it. If we're gonna go after him, obviously, we all feel some type of way about his hands and there's other question marks about him.
Mm-hmm.
If we're gonna get him, it has to have a number 2 attachment to it, not a 1.
Right.
Dude, you have 60 receivers in this draft who could play immediately in the NFL. Don't reach. Please don't reach.
The thing with Mims is he kind of just came on after the combine, right? Like he was never talked about first round pick.
He was more of like an early second round pick,
like an early second round, and the so-called the combine freaks, the combine athletes,
right?
That's when they start making their jumps into the first round. So stick with the guys that you knew were first rounders from the beginning of the season,
right?
That we know.
Here we go. The Texans and David Carr.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I forgot about David.
I forgot about that.
Damn,
wow,
that's a really good one. Son of a bitch.
And we got something attached to us, Ricky Williams.
Yeah, we said that earlier.
It has to be mentioned.
I mean, it's definitely up there. Like, I look at it for what the Saints had to give up to get Ricky. Now, was he a horrible player? No. But it's just what were we saying, Nick?
What about Larry Hughes?
Larry Hughes is a great one.
And he was only drafted because Larry Brown promised him that he was there at what was it, like 8 or 9 or something like that.
It was something like that.
Yeah, that he would draft him. We took him over Paul Pierce.
Mm-hmm. Ted says Mamula was a combine warrior.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he was definitely a combine warrior. Rick says Dirk went 9th overall. Okay.
So I was close. I thought it was 6 or 7-ish, but
yeah, but you look at some of these like combine warriors that do really well, and sometimes but like at least most of the time, that was the big knock on DK Metcalf. His numbers were astounding coming out of the combine. Was drafted in the 2nd round, and obviously he ended up doing very well his rookie season. So I mean, sometimes you get him, sometimes you don't, and that's just the.
He had a case of like the drops a little bit in college, right?
In college, yeah. You saw it his rookie year too.
Yeah, and his his route running, he kind of perfected. He kind of worked on that and improved his route running. I mean, the guy is a freak. If he did that draft over again, he's in the 1st round.
Oh, absolutely.
John Ross.
John Ross. That's an injury. Come. Yeah.
If he was wearing Nikes instead of Adidas, he could have had himself an island, but win some, you lose some. Ted also says Vernon Davis is a combine guy who worked out. Yeah, that's true. Vernon Davis is also just cut out of granite.
Yeah.
That dude's a monster. I've always been a big Vernon Davis guy.
He's probably a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, you definitely. He's not a first ballot, but yeah, you definitely have to put him in that conversation.
Yeah, not a first ballot, but he's definitely one of the best tight ends in the last 15 years.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just for how long and how productive he was throughout those years. Let's get into a little XFL. And fam, you can You can keep putting in your busts down in the comments, but obviously the report yesterday with the XFL suspending operations and laying off all their employees due to the coronavirus situation. And like we talked about earlier, Steve, it's just Vince can't catch a break.
Yeah, it's rough. Like you have to feel bad for him because all right, first time it failed, it was a bad scheme design. This time it made sense. It was exciting. You know, might have been a little different from what we're used to as football goes, but I thought it made it fun, and it had people engaged early on, and then right as they were getting ready to start their whole getting into the meat and potatoes of what they were going to do, we got hit with this virus, and it got to the point where now they got to shut down operations. It's rough, man. You got to feel for Vince, regardless if you like what he does, as a promoter, both for WWE and XFL or whatever. But that's rough, man. Twice you roll the dice and you roll some snake eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad for him as well. I mean, the timing couldn't have been any worse.
No.
It did look like it was pretty entertaining. It was a pretty decent product that they were putting out there. I mean, anybody would watch football in the springtime right now. And the talent level really wasn't that bad either. No,
it wasn't terrible. It's just like how, and I think we'll see that kind of in this coming season too, to kind of just bring more. And I was talking to Tommy about it. I think it was on either yesterday's show or the show on Tuesday. Just that not only in the NFL, but you're going to see things from the XFL that are going to be brought to like other sports, such as like MLB, for example, to where they'll be in these stadiums. It's just the players and coaches and whoever. So I think just having those like sideline interviews and stuff like that, having more players mic'd up, learning more about the players just as individuals, just adds more interest to those casual fans. I think they'll take that. At least that's how I think they should do it anyway.
Yeah, completely agree.
I mean, one thing you should hope is even though that they're going to suspend this for the time being, but like as everything kind of opens back up, they get some sort of normalcy so they can try to restart this thing and relaunch it again. Next spring, whatever. It's rough, but here's the other side of it. You're going to have a whole year to kind of you already gotten that buzz going. They know what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be as hard as they think it is. It's rough, kind of starting and stopping and having to go again. We all know how that is. Obviously, this is all a big change for us, considering how we're used to doing things.
Mm-hmm. Now the real question: do you think Vince takes another shot at bringing the XFL back, or no? This is just kind of the nail in the coffin at this point.
No,
I think he brings it back.
Okay,
he definitely brings it back.
Because I think
he ain't done with this.
Well, I think he invested. What was it? I think it was like $300 million in WWE stock or something crazy. It was some huge number. So I
don't know the number off the top of my head.
Yeah, it was definitely like a 9-figure number. That much I know. But again, I just, with all the money being invested in that too, I just can't see him just being like, oh well, didn't work. Moving on.
Yeah, no, guys, it's nuts.
Yeah,
I don't see him walking away from this. Regardless of how much money he put in and how much he lost on it, he'll do it again.
Right, I absolutely agree.
But he knows now that he has something that works. It's not like where it was last time, where it was another failure from start to finish.
Mm-hmm. Ted also says in the comments on Twitch, Vince lost a lot of money on it, and he has to say screw it at this point. I mean, realistically, I think he should, but at the same time, we all kind of know how Vince is.
Yeah, we know how Vince is.
Businessman he is, so he's not just going to let it roll over and die.
Not in this fashion.
No, not at all.
If it completely failed,
it
fell on his face, then I think he would scrap it. But meaning that it shut down because of this coronavirus that happened to shut down the rest of the whole world.
It's out of
you can't knock him for it.
Right.
But no, he did lose a ton of money on it.
Oh yeah. Now the question is, and I talked to Tommy about this yesterday, is that when do you guys think we will be able to just go back to a sporting event again?
To go back to a sporting event, it's so hard to tell.
It's up in the air. It's so up in the air right now. Like I was telling Jake, dude, my work told me that we're not even looking at bringing anything back until June. So I'm looking at 2 more months. So if we're talking about that, and I was working in an inventory place that went into all these department stores and everything like that. So if they're sitting there and saying it's 2 months for that, so that leads us into probably June, where we're looking at everyone can finally start to begin this process of getting out there and beginning normal life. So if that's the way it's going to be, we're saying that June will be the marker, then we don't know. Because when we're talking about sporting events, we're talking about 20,000, 30,000 people in an enclosed area, or more in some cases. So we could be sitting there saying okay, well, we're talking about the NFL is going to start in September. What does that even mean? As we were talking with me and Tommy were talking with Adam yesterday. It's definitely a kind of flowing, ongoing situation where you don't know. It's affecting everybody from team to player to family of these athletes, where everything's being thrown off. So you're pushing all that stuff back, which is you have some sports where they were in the middle of the season. You don't know how that's going to happen. You have to start these guys back up again. You're going to have injuries. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. We can argue it to we're blue in the face about it, but that is a real thing. When you're an athlete and you're toned and conditioned, we've been shut down for well over a month now. So how hard no matter how much exercise these guys are going to be doing, you're still you're going to be on a treadmill, on a stationary bike. It's not the same as being out there and doing what you have to do on a daily basis to be in shape to be a professional athlete. You're going to have nagging injuries when you come back, and it's not going to be the same. So it's one of these things where we have to see how that plays out. On that end, as far as us being in the stadiums, I wouldn't be surprised if there is no public being able to actually be physically at a sporting event in 2020. That could be a real thing, guys. It's something we may have to look at.
Yeah, I don't know how many people would actually want to go to a sporting event, even when they do clear and say that people are allowed to start attending games and events. I mean, I probably wouldn't want to go.
I wouldn't. Like as long as I have sports on my TV, I'm cool.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of people also say too on just like Twitter and various social medias is that oh well, if there's not fans there, I'm not going to watch it. I'm like, why does that deter you from watching a sporting event if fans aren't there?
They'll do like what they did with WrestleMania. How with the whole camera angles, they'll try and zoom in more on the game and the players, so you don't notice the empty seats around.
Exactly.
I'll say one thing. One thing would be so much more clear as you actually be able to hear the chatter what goes on with these guys in the field, on the stadium, in the arena, etc. And I think that might be the most unique part about it. Like it might be different for us, but while sitting there watching like some of the replays, like the Super Bowl came on and the Philly special is about to come up. I know what's happening. I'm actually like looking at like Doug and Nick's body language to see like how they're reacting. Like it's some of those things that like some of that behind the scenes stuff that we can't really hear or see until we get footage of it afterwards. Maybe something that they could play into on this where we're not there, but this is something that kind of supplements.
Yeah, it's definitely.
If you kind of give fans a little bit more access in that way and find some way to do some type of streaming type thing to kind of supplement that, then I think you could find a way to make it work temporarily until we know what's going on.
Yeah.
But there's just so much stuff being put on hold right now. It's freaking nuts, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, on the other side of things, in the way everything's going, we still have an election to deal with in this country this year.
Yeah.
So all freaking hell could break loose when it comes to what could possibly be on top of the sports thing that's going on. So we don't know what's going to happen these next few months. It better situate itself soon, or it could get real ugly real fast.
Yeah, exactly. But and like we were talking about earlier, and I was telling Tommy yesterday, is that it's just such a fluid situation. Like people can say, "Oh, well, we look to have things back within." Like by September and football back by this time. Well, yeah, that's fine just because it's a couple months down the road. We don't know how everything's going to look down a couple months down the road. So, but I'd like to see football back on time, but I can also see them delaying it possibly till October if things necessarily don't get where they should be.
Yeah, they could just based on the fact that the preparation standpoint. The guys need the training camps, the time the whole time to prepare. The new rookies coming in, you can't just roll them out there in September.
Yep.
Even if we're all cleared late July, early August.
Here's how I think we're at least when we're talking about football and the Philadelphia Eagles, if this is going to be a kind of fluid situation where it's not going to be what it was normally, that plays into our hands. There's 3 new coaches in our division. There's all kinds of new personnel.
I was going to talk about that earlier. Exactly.
So much plays into our hands right now, and especially we don't have that big number of turnover as far as guys that are coming in versus guys that came out. A lot of the replacements that have been situated has been in house and was already kind of a preemptive thing that we know going on. So if that's going to happen, let's go.
Right. My only concern with that being is just like Nick touched on earlier. It's just like for rookies, you need that time to just kind of, like we're drafting probably like 2 or however many wide receivers in the draft this year. So it's like, how are you going to get that connection with Carson Wentz, and how is Carson Wentz going to get the connection with those receivers? That's the only.
It's going to be one of these things. It's going to be one of these things where it's not great, but it might be one of these things where they may not really be able to actually really produce and be on the field till week 10, 13, etc. where they'll start being able to give us the help when we most need it during the playoff rush, during the down the stretch. So even if that is the case and we don't get that immediate impact from there, we still have guys on this team, on the practice squad, etc., that we know can produce and help this team win games. So it may be unfortunate for them that they can't get up to speed as fast, but at the end of the day, then later in the season, you have some new shiny weapons that no one has film on that you get to play with.
Yep. Bill also had a comment that I saw earlier. Who did we draft the year we passed on Alvin Kamara? I think it was 2017.
That was Sidney Jones.
It was Sidney Jones because Kamara was drafted in the second round. Excuse me, he was drafted in the second round. So yeah.
No, Kamara was actually a third round.
Was it a third round?
Yeah, top 5 pick, like in the third round.
Oh, you're right. Yep.
I don't think we didn't have a first round pick, right?
Yeah. No, we got it was 2017, so we had Barnett that year. We drafted Barnett.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Kamara didn't have like necessarily the best year. He had a good year last year, but it wasn't.
But there were so many running backs that draft.
Oh yeah, and we drafted the one that doesn't even play in the league anymore.
No.
But it's neither here nor there.
Even guys like I think Eckler was undrafted that year.
Yeah,
and maybe even Breida.
I think he was a 6th round pick. I could be wrong.
There was two guys that are really good, pretty good running backs that went undrafted. Eckler was one of them, and the other one slipped in my mind.
Corey Clement went undrafted. That was one. That worked out well for 1 year. Bryce Blackwell also says, so I figure September football or August for college. I hope so, Bryce. I really do. And he says fans probably won't be back till October or next year. Realistically,
if it's taking the off-season regimen for these guys, something again, referring back to yesterday's interview, it may not be a bad idea to just push it back, 60 days or so, and go into the end of the February, beginning of March. If that's the case, then that's the case. It's something that should be done. Because if not, what kind of product is going to be if you're going to continually having injuries taking these guys out?
Yeah,
you're going to have these soft tissue injuries, pulled hamstrings, that, and the third. It's going to happen, especially in this sport. So it might be prudent just to for at least for this season, and it's something I even said. Adam mentioned the salary cap, but even expanding the roster to an extra 10 players just because of what could possibly be this season.
Right.
Just kind of have a gray area in the cap for you to allow that to happen this season.
Yeah.
Since obviously the CBE the CBA isn't exactly in place yet. I think that's something that
doesn't go into effect until next year, I believe. It doesn't go into effect until next year.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you already have a situation where kind of put a default situation on this season for the new CBA, the one that actually takes effect next season.
Ted also brings up a good point. We have new coaches, new defensive line coach, new offensive coaches, wide receiver coach, QB coach got promoted. I think Marty is back. He's got to implement his ideas. You guys think we can get Kenny Stills from Houston? He's got 1 year left on his contract, maybe for a 5th or a 6th. I mean, at this point, it wouldn't shock me what Bill O'Brien does at this point anyway. So,
listen, they're not fire sailing that team yet. Even if Deshaun Watson kicked in, O'Brien's door today and demanded a trade, there's no fire sale today. We're not getting Kenny Stills. That's who they're going to run with for the season. Until either they implode on themselves or whatever.
Or until Will Fuller goes down
again,
because you can always count on that. It's a shame because he's a really good player.
He's a really talented player.
You talk about him in this offense.
Same thing with JJ Watt. He's one of these guys, he's a big superstar, always hurt.
He's older too, though, so he has a little.
He's getting older. Yeah, but it's also one of these things where you're watching that team fall apart. We're sitting there saying like, oh, because of that, we're going to get Kenny Stills. I don't think so.
Right.
That team is what they are right now. That's who they're rolling in with this season. You have to make something significant to offer them to get them besides picks. They don't want picks. They got picks.
They don't have many picks though. They trade most of their high picks away, so you have to figure.
So that means we have to give up ours, which we're not going to do.
No,
so
you're not gonna go up a top tier pick for Kenny Stills, no. But if you can get a late round pick, I'm all about it. But we'll see. Bill Middlebrook also says schools officially closing tells me businesses don't open up till July 4th, and sports probably July, maybe even August. They already canceled our July 4th parade. It's been nationally televised. Not looking good. I mean, we'll see. Because I know they're talking about getting vaccines and everything together. They just have to wait for everything to be approved. But we'll see. It's such a fluid situation, Bill. Like nobody really knows how long or when everything will be back to quote unquote normal.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But getting into the UFC a little bit, UFC 249 canceled. Obviously, you had the news with Khabib over Nurmagomedov. Obviously, stepping out of 249 due to the flight restrictions.
All I gotta say is, as much as this is craziness and all that, and they had to find a replacement fight. Is thank you, because I need Khabib versus Tony Ferguson. It needs to happen.
Well, they've been talking about. They've been trying to get this fight happening for what, five different times now.
5 years. 5 years. Both injuries and extreme circumstances on both sides had to pull now. The one time they were, I think they were 9 days away from the fight, and Tony was just being a goofball doing the crazy stuff that he does, and he hurt himself. The one time, Khabib wasn't gonna make weight. They was making fun of him, calling him like Captain Tiramisu or something. I mean, there's so much history with that fight. I mean, you want to see it happen because both of those styles are so interesting. So, like, as much as Khabib was stuck in Russia, wasn't gonna be able to fly over and make it happen. Then they call him Justin Gaethje. That was gonna be a fun fight, but it's not the fight everyone wanted. So, as much as we're Dana and all of them are upset in a way, it was the MMA gods kind of striking down, saying, you know what, this can't go on without these two fighting, because if that fight went down, we were going to have to wait at least a year before we would see that matchup. Because you have to remember Ramadan is coming up, and Khabib does not train, does not talk about anything MMA related during that period of time. He's very religious in that fact, and it kind of sucks because it literally takes a fight away from the your title, your champion in that division. So what that means, you're only going to fight twice a year.
Right.
Most of these champions are expected to do more than that. There are some champions who fought 3 times in a matter of 4 months. People forget Ronda Rousey's reign when she was running through some of those girls. Like, she had I think she fought 4 times inside of a year. Within her first year inside the UFC. So I mean, what they do to the thing as bad as it is I think why Dana's pushing this so hard is, I think the wording in the contract, I think he owes these fighters injury without withstanding 3 fights a year. It's one of those things I think you might have heard him saying, like, they're going to get their 3 fights a year. Yeah. So it's one of those things. I think there might be some language in the UFC's contracts that we're not all privy to where they have to. So, as far as it being canceled, man, me and you talked about this off air yesterday, Jake. Man, the government strong-armed Dana White to the fullest. He was doing whatever he could. And the thing that drives me nuts about this, we were just talking about WrestleMania just not go on. Did I miss something? Okay, WrestleMania went on. So how is the governor or whatever state, I think it was California, that Dana was trying to make this thing happen in, strong arming freaking Disney or ESPN and making sure that this event doesn't happen. It is absolutely, in my opinion, I think at this point in time it has absolutely nothing to do with sporting event. It has to do with who that man's friends with. This is all more political nonsense. He kind of, if anyone watched any interviews during the week, how he was speaking, that there was powers to be behind the scenes making things difficult as per usual, and it's not nothing Dana's not used to. He's been fighting politics since he tried to get this thing public, since he tried to blow the sport up basically on his own back, on his mouth. It's rough. it's one of the rough things that, like, when you're fighting something that is just so big and everything's against you, it's one of these things where, like, he's sitting there, his hands are tied now. We're talking about UFC Island. Well, that's not something that wasn't possible about 5-6 years ago before Zuffa was bought out. They now have a disposable income, so if they want to rent an island, whatever that means, by all means, you have the means to do that. Go and do that. We're gonna go back into the olden days. Before state athletic commissions and all that. Remember, anyone remembers watching gangs in New York? Man, we're gonna put these guys on barges just outside of the line of the country to have them fighting on barges or something. That's what it's gonna come down to. If you're gonna have this situation, it's ridiculous. If the WWE is holding events, there's no reason why the UFC shouldn't be able to hold events, because in my opinion, it's kind of a similar type situation, right? So if they're being able to hold it's a political thing, man. I really do believe that it sucks. There's some people on the fence like, he was going to be putting people at risk in any way. Like, I think he made it very clear that he didn't want to put anyone in a situation who didn't already want to be there in the first place. So both fighters withstanding. I mean, you got MMA media is basically bashing Dana White. You have Jason House of Iridium Management basically sitting there telling his fighters from now on out, any media member who was basically attacking Dana White in the UFC, that they're not going to be interviewing his clients anymore. So, like, it's one of these things. Like we have people on both sides sitting there. They all have valid points. It's one of these things where, like, who's right and who's wrong right now. Yeah. He's taking every precaution that he has to do and is being shut down, but he's sitting there and he's friends with Vince because obviously they both had some of their stuff off of each other. Some of the stuff that Vince is doing now is what Dana did to get himself there. Some of the stuff that Dana's doing now is what Vince did to get WWE there. So it's one of these things. If these two are basically kind of connected, because regardless of if the WWE is real or not, it's a combat sport in however you break it down. So if they're allowed to go on, why is the UFC not allowed to go on? We already know what it is. He said it without saying it. We know what's going on. It's sad, but and the other thing about it is, the worst part about it is these fighters, they're not guaranteed nothing. Yep. So what did you do? You're taking money out of these people's hands who have nothing to fall back on. They don't have a fighter. They have no money coming in that way. Now you just took all these paychecks out of these people's hands who you don't know that bad at all. We have people who are still going to be fighting for unemployment. I haven't got my unemployment now. We know other people involved haven't gotten their unemployment now. So what are you really accomplishing at the end of the day, but causing more chaos and nonsense? It's sad.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. Just getting off UFC, we'll get back onto it in a minute. Bill Middlebrook also says, can you explain to me how we didn't give up our second round pick for a 26-year-old Cooks and a fourth? First, you have to hope you hit your 53rd pick. If you do, it's ready. Is he ready to go? And
all right, I'm gonna touch on Brandon Cooks right now. You want to know why we didn't give up a second round pick for him? Because the guy left there because he has concussion issues. How many times had he been knocked out in the last 3 years?
He's had 6 concussions throughout his career.
Yeah. I mean, the guy that bounced around from team to team.
And I wonder why.
Yeah,
I wonder why. You want to give up a second round? No, guys. I love the idea of having a playmaker, but Brandon Cooks was not that guy. Basically the Texans were in a situation where they needed to get another playmaker on that team, because if not, what I was just talking about is Deshaun Watson was going to be literally gripping up O'Brien and telling him, you're getting me out of this team, and we're going to have a situation right here, because he doesn't have anyone to throw to.
Right.
So they had to go make the move and overspend and go get Brandon Cooks. I didn't want us to get, unless we were talking about picks, a couple years down the line and just basically get and see what this guy is. But then the other thing is, you got to take his contract on.
Yep. And
on top of what we already have going here, we need to keep some of the guys in-house. So
and his contract just went into effect this year too, which is $8 million, which it's kind of, it's a little less than what Alshon's getting this year, but it's I think only like a $3 million difference. It's nothing crazy. I mean, it is crazy and like my big issue is, who's to say he's one concussion away from his career being over. You get one concussion, and then you basically wasted a second-round pick. I get where you're coming from, Billy. He's definitely a talent when he's healthy, but the issue is it's just his availability. And everyone knows in the NFL the best availability or the best ability in the NFL is availability. So
exactly,
and that's just a big issue. How many times did he put up? It was four. He had four seasons over 1,000 yards. His last, not this past season, but those 4 years together. The only time he didn't have 1,000 yards was his rookie year and this past year. And I think he actually he played 14 games.
We're not saying he's not productive. That's not what we're saying. Are we not building this team for the future?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is Brandon Cooks going to be on this team in 3 years? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
No.
So if he's not going to be on this team in 3 years, why are we giving up assets to go get him? It's not something we've already done. That's something Howie's already done. That's why he's staying pat, and hopefully, we'll see what the plan is. And it's going to be through the draft.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of had a feeling when we were going into this offseason, unless we made a splash during the offseason via trade form, that you weren't going to get that playmaker on offense. It just wasn't there for what was available wide receiver wise.
Right.
I mean, what are you going to do right now? Are you going to throw up names like we have, like everyone has been recycled? Oh, let's bring in Des Bryant. Let's bring in Brent. Like, I don't want to hear these guys anymore. Let's get some young guys that are going to. We're talking about we want guys to grow with them. Why are we keep bringing up these names or guys are recycled in the league anymore? I love it. I want these guys to be growing with our young quarterback. We have about 3 to 4 years to get whatever we're going to get out of Carson out of them. Get the young guys in here now, because also you have that situation where what if it's not Carson? What God forbid, he doesn't wind up living up to this contract that we have, and you still have to have weapons for whoever else is going to take his place. So you don't want to put these guys in there that are going to break down. As much as we love that they've been productive in the league and they're eye catching and all that, but it can't be. It cannot be. We have to be young. It has to be done through the draft. You only supplement trades and stuff like this when you're trying to fix mistakes that you've already made. We still have to wait out this Alshon contract to fix that mistake. I'm not bringing in another mistake so we can fix that one too. That's how we wound up in this situation in the first place.
Yeah. Bill also says, how about Hopkins? He was traded for a ham sandwich. So the thing with the Hopkins thing is the reason why he got traded. It was a contract and Bill didn't want to pay him, but also apparently Howie also commented that the trade or the offer that the Texans wanted from the Eagles was completely different than what the Cardinals were.
They wanted Miles Sanders, right? It started with Miles Sanders.
Yeah, which wasn't going to happen. Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, we just drafted this kid. You want him? Get out of here, man.
But you're getting the best receiver in the league who's still fairly young.
Yeah, but it's also he's still fairly young, but also like
you got to pay him. I know that. I know you got to pay him.
It's also you got to remember how much Miles that production goes into effect. You know what I mean? So we have to think he's at his peak now. So he can't go any higher. He can only go lower, right?
Yeah,
not to sit there saying that he ain't showing any signs that he's going to slow down. It goes right back to what we were just talking about. Even if Hopkins is here, he may be here for the next 2 seasons, but will that production start flying down because he'll start getting into the when you start getting into that part of your 30s when you're a wide receiver, we all have to ask those questions: is the speed there? Is the durability going to be there? The only person is immune to that is who Hopkins is playing with now is Larry Fitzgerald. He's the only person that's immune to that. Point blank period. His skills may diminish, but he found a way to keep him not so in the league, but be productive.
Well, whose shelf life is longer, receivers or running backs?
Yeah, that's true too. That's true.
I would have to flip a coin.
I don't know. I would have thought I would have seriously considered it. I would have seriously.
Oh, I definitely consider it. Yeah,
I may have pulled the trigger.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, would anybody be sitting there saying, "Damn, I wish we didn't give away Miles Sanders for DeAndre Hopkins"?
I mean, yeah, obviously in hindsight, if the trade went through, it'd be like, damn, we got rid of probably one of our more promising rookies or promising up and coming players, but at the same time, we got DeAndre Hopkins. No, I get that. I get
yeah, but then you have to go and find. But then you have to go and find the running back again.
Right.
You can find those guys in any.
You can find the, but it's one of those things where you just wasted that draft basically. He's your gem out of that draft, right? So then it's like, all right, well then what do you get out of it? Because JJ ain't gonna be doing nothing for anybody anytime soon, right? I think it wasn't that they asked for him, is what the optics of trading him would have done in the city. Yes, we would have loved the Hopkins thing, but you know how it was, and we were like, oh my God, you couldn't have given anyone else but Miles, and you know how the Negadelphians always come in, right?
Yeah.
Because that's how everyone paints us, right?
Yeah, Ted also says I would have traded Goddard in a second in a heartbeat. He's not signing an extension. His stats were top 10, and Goddard is going to get paid like Hooper. I wouldn't go that far. I mean, my thing is. Go ahead. Yeah, my thing is with Goddard. The Eagles aren't spending a high second round pick, and they're also not trading up in the second round to draft a young tight end in Dallas Goedert. He's going to be in their future plans. You can have two high caliber tight ends, and obviously the money might be an issue here and there. But again, we all have one of the best GMs in the league that can handle the cap, so that I'm not worried about. I don't think Goddard's going anywhere.
And
I think I already said it this way. Like, as much as we don't want to hear it, and fans are crazy, if anything, it might be Zach, man. As much as I don't want to hear that he might be on the block, you have to think about it. He's been leaned on a lot the last 3 years.
I've been interested in training him for a long time.
Yeah.
His contract's up. He turned down one during the offseason. You have Goddard there. You're going to be able to keep him on that rookie deal. And you're already hearing, you already have people complaining in the locker room that's who he goes to, right? That Zach's his guy. So why not? If you can get, he is arguably top 2 or 3 wide receiver tight end in this league, right? He's not going to get any higher. He's getting closer to 30. We already know how it is like that, especially with the tight ends who are having mileage on them, who has had injuries in and out of the lineup. He's not going to get any higher to sell. As much as I don't want to entertain that idea, if there's a valid offer on there where you can not only save money to sign guys younger, you already have Dallas already there, to also, appease whatever sensibility that was ruptured in the locker room because the relationship between Zach and Carson was so intense that you appease that side of not only the locker room but your fan base and kind of get a fresh start where he has Goddard. It's going to force him to go and look at those wide receivers that are going to have to produce.
But at the same time, like I get where both of you guys are going from in that point, but I just can't see where you just get rid of Carson's security blanket. I just don't see it.
But then he still has the security blanket. You're just giving him a new one, a different one. It's the same one that he already has.
Yeah, but at the same time though, he doesn't have that same connection with Goddard as he does with Ertz. Ertz, he knows he's gonna that's his go-to.
Okay. Guy. It's not like they were both drafted together and something like that. Like, Zach was already a part of this team. They are like, things happen in this league. Like this is what us as Philadelphia fans get wrapped up on. Things happen. Trades happen. People change teams. As much as you love it. We've seen friendships be destroyed from trades in locker rooms in this city before. We've seen other situations happen. Everyone kind of forgets why Rod Brindamore was traded out of Philadelphia. It was because of Eric Lindros.
Yeah,
and that was a great connection. Beforehand, we had some great things going on. And what happened? Brindamore wanted to win a championship with the Hurricanes, and we already know what happened with Eric Lindros.
Yeah.
So all right then. It's not always the go-to guys who work well on the field doesn't always have to kind of stay together. As much as we love it and it's a great thing to happen, he can still connect with other guys and have that relationship with other guys. We don't have to get light up. Oh, well, that's his buddy. Okay, that's his buddy. You can still have buddies that are not your teammates anymore, even if you were teammates at some point in time. Like, I think it's one of the things because of how special Zach has been to this city since he was drafted. We just hold on to that so tight, and we can't imagine that.
That's fair.
Let the fan part of it go for a second and just look at it as if you're one of these guys and someone makes you an offer. You're gonna have to pay this guy, if not, at the end of the season, right? Because he's already made it clear he wants a bigger contract. You're gonna be able to save money to keep some of these other guys. He's not gonna have a higher value than he has now.
No, and he's not going to catch. He's not going to catch 115 balls anymore, or that season he had a couple years ago.
No, that's not going to happen. You're right.
It's not going to.
That's what I'm saying. His production isn't going to be the same. So why not take advantage of that and send him elsewhere where they can overpay him?
He's already 30, going on 30 years old.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, all right, so what?
I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you.
He's going to ask for 4 years or more. Am I not? Am I wrong?
Yeah. All right. So
his production can drop after 2 to 3 seasons. Then all right. Go ahead.
So if theoretically, if we were going to trade Zach Ertz either this offseason or more realistically, in my opinion, if we're going to trade him, I think it's next offseason. But what would you be willing to take to part ways with Zach Ertz?
I mean, it doesn't have to be like multiple first or anything like that. You can give me a second and a player that'll make a difference on this team.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And we'll give up, and we give up like a third, that draft or a following draft or something to kind of compensate for that. Like, listen, we as much even if he is a superstar, you have to remember they already know what he is, and they already know that his value is going to start to diminish. So we're not going to be able to make all these crazy demands for it. You have to be realistic of it. As much as we love Zach and like we feel that trade offers an insult to who he is, that's our perception of him.
Bill, I love your persistence. I have to give it to you. I love your persistence. Send it to Jacksonville, move up to 9, and Yannick.
You're not going to get Yannick. You're not going to get Yannick.
I don't think you're going to get a first back from Ertz.
No.
We're not going to get a first back.
You'd probably still have to throw it first.
Even the second round's pushing it.
Yeah, you still have to throw it first.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying you're going to have to throw something back at them because whoever's going to take them is going to have to sign them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying you're not good.
Just do a signing.
Get rid of stop the Yannick talk. If you're trading the Jacksonville, it's only going to be for somebody like Leonard Fournette or something like that, where you get another a complimentary piece to go with Miles Sanders. You don't have to go look for one in the draft. You free some room up that way. He's still on his rookie contract too, so you can extend him for past next season just to see what he is, if he's going to be durability issues or not, because we already know that he's had problems with that in his 2 years in the league. So it's one of these things where you have to weigh the options. You're not getting Yannick.
Right.
Zach Ertz does not make Yannick happy. It does not. As much as I would love it to.
Yeah, Bill, you're gonna have to give up more than the 21st and swap picks. You're gonna have to give up way more than that, especially if you're talking about an elite defensive end in Yannick Ngakoue and then.
Hey, it's all right. It's all right to dream, man.
Absolutely.
It's all right. It's all right to wish.
It's all right to dream, but let's make the dream
realistic.
Bill.
You're good, man.
We love you, Bill.
Let's make the dream realistic.
But we'll get on this last topic and then we'll roll on out of here. So Dana White possibly buying an island. So is that just more for Steve? I'll ask you since
Steve's the big
WIG.
You're
that WIG money. He's got that WIG money. You got to remember, they have investors that are professional athletes. Like Tom Brady's an investor in the UFC.
Kobe Bryant was, yep.
The Williams sisters are. Marky Mark is Mark Wahlberg has a stake in it. So they have access to all this money. They can do something like that.
Now, is that more just to kind of avoid the state athletic commissions? Because I know they've had issues with them in the past. Is that part of it?
Absolutely is a part of it. I mean, it's what I just said it. As we were talking about the cancellation, it's a political thing. So obviously he's going to continue have to jump through these hoops and fight with these people. So why not take it out of their hands? All right, you making it hard for me. I've already had it. That's why he made it such a big deal when the UFC had this big boom that he was pushing getting things situated internationally. Now obviously internationally it's different. They don't have state athletic commissions, but most countries do have some type of combat sanctioned bodies over each one of them. But in this situation where, like like I said, if it's a legit island, the only thing you really worry about in those situations is, access to healthcare. We're talking about, if you're fighting on the island, like these people are fighting, that they're going to get hurt, they're going to be cut, they're going to be bleeding. How fast is it going to be able to get medical attention? Is there going to be medical attention there?
Right.
Then you also play that situation where what's still going on in this world. So it's one of these things where that's why everyone's getting upset about it. But even if he buys an island, more power to him. We're gonna finally see Mortal Kombat the way we want to see it.
And that's what everyone was looking at it as too. The whole island for Mortal Kombat. That's what everyone.
Yeah, exactly. However you want to look at it, whatever analogy you want to point to it, Mortal Kombat, Fight Island, however you want to do it, man. I mean, as long as they have a cage, 4-ounce gloves, and some good people talking about it, I think the fans will be fine.
And Herb Dean reffing. That's all you need.
Well, I know John McCarthy doesn't mess with the UFC too much anymore, but you still got big John McCarthy. Everyone forgets, our favorite weed dealer, Josh Rosenthal. For people who don't know, former referee Josh Rosenthal was indicted for having massive amounts of marijuana at some point. So,
that's hilarious.
If I remember serves me, he has served his time and is back refereeing to some extent.
Okay.
So Steve, you're the big UFC guy now, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's MMA in general. See, like, this is what I try to educate people on. Everyone just says UFC. There's more than UFC is a promotion inside of MMA. We have so many different promotions. You have Bellator. You have the stuff overseas. Our local stuff that we have around here is still pretty fun to watch. Yeah. Between Cage Fury Fighting Championship and Art of War and all that, you have so many different volumes of it, and that's why it makes it so rough, because there's so many different places to go find it. Regardless, you feel it's A League, B League, whatever. Like, listen, fighting's fighting, man.
Right.
We're human beings. We get it. Especially here in the tri-state area, man. Just show us some fights, we good to go.
Right. Yeah, I'm the other way. I don't follow MMA or UFC as much, but I'm real deep in the boxing game.
Okay.
But see, that's the see here now. He's bringing up the point now. Because of the rift between Dana White and boxing, there's always this thing. It's like, you're either one way or the other.
No, not necessarily that.
Like, I'm just saying, like, some people, they don't get, like, or gotten to the point where they understand what's going on the ground, so it just completely turns them off. I guess where I got lucky is when I got into it.
Appreciate you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
My kids were training, and I got to learn about the ground game a little bit.
Yeah.
So I have more fun watching that. Like it's more of a chess match when it comes to that. We all can learn to throw these, but at the end of the day, do you know how to get up off your back when someone's on top of you and then they're bigger than you?
Right. But we'll touch on this this comment by Todd Womack, and then we'll just get on out of here. Todd Womack says on YouTube, I'm not giving up this year's picks for Yannick 2021 picks. Yes. Plus they have 14 picks this year. How many picks do they need for this year, really? No, it's a good point. And realistically, I don't see the Eagles trading up at all, in my opinion. If anything, if I was going to make any move in the first round, I think he's going to trade back, if anything, realistically.
It's either the staying pat or trading down.
Yeah, I don't see them moving up at all. Maybe they might move up a spot or two and trade up.
That's what I was saying. Like maybe if they kind of getting worried that they're getting wind that one of these teams in front of them is going to get the guy that they're going to get.
Right.
I can see them making a call and seeing if they can make a move that way.
Yeah, you trade your 21st pick and throw a fourth in there, and you get up to 24. Or get up to 20 or 19. It's nothing crazy like that. But realistically, I after the Darius Slay deal, I said they're not trading up. There's no way. I don't see it unless you throw like a player or something like that in there. But even then, I don't see Howie. I think Howie's gonna like Steve said, he's gonna either stand pat or he's just gonna trade back.
I think he's gonna wait for those first 10 to 15 picks to go around, and he's gonna sit by the phone. Anyone calls him.
Yeah, it's all about how the board looks by the time you're at 21. So we'll see. You guys got anything else before we wrap up?
Yeah. Remember we were talking about, right, brother?
Yeah,
what we got to start
doing giveaways soon. Hopefully, figure.
So we've been kind of talking since this whole quarantine happened about a lot of our listeners and fans and getting them active and on all of our social media stuff. So we got some stuff here to kind of pique your interest. So we're gonna be doing the main stuff is we want a lot of people to get on Twitter, but we also want people to be interactive with the show. So we're gonna be doing probably 2 giveaways on 2 of the platforms. Follow
go.
Twitter and I think what we talked about with Jake is our active listeners who are actually a lot of the fan questions and stuff like that. Those are the people who are going to wind up having access to the second part of the giveaway. Other than that, we're going to pick a random follower on Twitter at the end of the month. Make sure you guys are following. And between Jake, Tommy, and the guys in the studio, we're going to pick some of our most active members of the chat rooms, or regardless if it's Facebook, YouTube, whatever, and we're going to pick a winner. There's going to be like basically a grab bag. I have so much stuff here, like between hockey stuff. I got a Bernie Brown autograph here. I got a Dave Schultz autograph here. I got some MMA stuff for some of my combat sports fans. I got some Eagle stuff. So let's get out on the platform, start sharing the links, doing what you got to do to show show us over here,
everything like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, sir. You know what I mean? You know how it is, guys. Yeah. So other than that, just keep plugging in with us, keep tuning in.
Yep.
And I guess this is another episode of the weekly roundup, right, guys?
Pretty much. All right, guys. We love you. We appreciate you. Hopefully, we took some time out of your day just to kind of distract you from all the craziness that's going on with the whole COVID-19 situation, everything going on right now. Obviously, as always, we're brought to you our doc, Make 'em Yours, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton locations. Find them on the web at specializedphysicaltherapy.com. We're also brought to you by Ambuck Services, AMBUCK services.com. Call Michael Ambrose, tell him A2D sent you. Get yourself 20% off gutters, gutter guards, any work you need done outside of your house. Michael Ambrose is your guy. Go to ambuckservices.com, AMBUCK services.com. All right, guys, as always, Jake Friel, Steve Reichel, Jules down below. We appreciate you. We love you guys, and we'll see you guys again soon on another edition of the Weekly Roundup. See you guys.
Later, guys.
All right, guys. See you later.